Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the stands for evil.
I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have, continuing on with anime, Kunekune. So, Kunekune, which doesn't really... the author's unknown, but it first appeared on the 2chan boards as early as 2001. It's basically a scarecrow-like entity that can only be seen off in the distance, and is sort of like a Slenderman-y kind of character, like to put have a Western analog to it. It's this kind of like yokai that popped up in 2001 as an urban legend, a figure that pops up in farm fields that if you look upon it closer, bad things happen. And that's kind of what the story is for today. The version of the story that we have read is on the Kowabana website. So you can check it out there. And I'll I guess before we dive into the rundown and all that such, I guess we should give our initial recommendations. I'm going to partially recommend this one.
I'm not going to recommend this one.
I am going to recommend this one.
Running the gambit.
That seems to happen a lot.
Like a pachinko game.
Yeah.
Running the gambit. Where's the ball going to end up? Who knows? All right, well, let's find out why we gave those initial recommendations, starting with the rundown. So, Nair and his family go to their grandmother's place in the rural countryside of Japan. Not the rural country of Japan.
The entire country's rural.
Yeah, at this point, it's far from rural.
Mm-hmm.
In grandmother's place in the rural countryside of Japan, Nair and his brother rush out to play in the rice fields when they notice a change in the wind that draws their attention to a strange white-clothed scarecrow off in the distance that they can't quite make out details of, swaying even when the wind turns different directions and even stops. And the brother goes and gets a pair of binoculars, and upon seeing the thing up close, turns blue, says in a voice not his own for his brother to look or not to look, and then runs back to the house, leaving the binoculars on the ground next to his brother, Nair. So Nair decides to check it out anyway, because fuck you, I do what I want.
Yep.
As is traditional sibling mentality. But is stopped by his dad, who comes running after, I guess, the brother came inside and told them what had happened. Apparently, the brother is now stuck wriggling and swaying like the scarecrow, and the grandmother suggests that they leave him with her, as he'll be stuck like this and will need to be let out into the field someday. Nair tearful. What?
Put it to pasture, basically.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's going up to a farm.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Nair tearfully watches his brother as they leave him at his grandmother's place. When they drive away, he uses the binoculars to see him one last time, and then turns his attention to the field as they're driving by with those same binoculars to look at the original entity. And presumably suffers the same fate as his brother, Finn. I think that's how it ended. I think that's basically just how it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Kunekune as presented from the Kowabana website. So I suppose we should start with everyone tolerates the Grand Inquisitions. At this point, guys, Mikey.
I have a conjunction.
All right.
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
It's entirely different to the city. It's already hot at the best of times. Why is such a warm breeze blowing now? It was far in the distance, so I couldn't tell what it was. It was about the size of a human, but it was white and swaying to and fro. It has to be. It probably started moving with that wind just before. It wasn't my brother's voice, but something was bothering me. It was a little weird, but other than that, wasn't especially scary. But my brother, I had to look. It would be better for everyone if you left him here. It'll be easier for him to live here. Finn.
Wow. So the gist I got from that was it wasn't like the city. So I guess they were out in the woods or out in the boonies and sticks. And then something took over his brother, and now he has to stay with his grandmother. Which
is exactly what happens in the story.
It's basically just a very succinct version of the story.
Yes. And sometimes that's what we get when Mikey grabs all the sentences that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ends, or buts, strings them together in a story. Because, there's always better words to use. That's why he's trying to highlight them.
Yes. That said, though, there were some dialogue bits which get exempt from that rule.
Yeah, they do, but they don't because he needs content for its story.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be even slimmer.
Yes.
God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gamer, do we have a grammar in yellow?
Yeah. Surprised you guys didn't really have any. Although maybe mine are all questionable, but who knows? I guess I know, but we'll find out. So my first one.
Sorry.
I noticed my brother was looking in another direction, towards a scarecrow in the distance. And then it starts with a quote. What's up with that? I asked him. No, not that. Past that, he replied, and strained his eyes even harder to see. So, the first time I read this, I didn't really understand it, but on a second reading, I got it right away. But, the wording of it was strange to me, because, the brother automatically knows that Nair is incorrectly referring to the scarecrow, even though he doesn't say anything. Maybe they're identical twins, so they're in each other's heads or something, but it felt weird that, he's just staring in the distance. He's like, what's up with that? He's like, no, not that. Even though he didn't tell him what he thought he was looking at, Yeah,
there definitely should be, a bit between those two sentences.
Yeah, because,
yeah.
How does he know that Nair isn't already looking at the humanoid figure in the distance, too? Personally, I'd go with, what's up with that scarecrow? I asked him. No, not that. Past that, he replied. Because that makes more sense.
Another thing that might be the reason for this is this might be a
translation.
Yeah, because that's another thing to put in mind, folks. A lot of these Japanese creepypastas that we've covered from Kowabana website are usually directly translated to English, because they originally are presented in Japanese. So I'm sure Tara, the creator, the person in charge of Kowabana, and I think she's actually the translator and stuff like that, does the best she can, but she probably doesn't. Maybe she doesn't want to customize the thing, customize the translation too much from its original text. So
yeah, keep it as direct as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll move on from there.
Okay.
It was far in the distance, so I couldn't tell what it was. It was about the size of a human, but it was white and swaying to and fro. There was nothing around here but rice fields, no reason for any people to be nearby. So, depending on how far, quote-unquote, far in the distance is, I don't think you'd be able to really tell if something was swaying back and forth. I'm imagining the furthest you could tell that it was something that's human-sized. Because,
Yeah.
like, scale gets rough at extreme ranges, obviously. So, like, unless it's swaying very dramatically, like 6 feet back and forth, it
Yeah.
might be hard to notice it at that range.
Yeah.
But maybe it is at that huge range, and it is actually moving that far. I said to myself at the time, not knowing it's meant to be a scarecrow that's in place. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt, but I wanted to note it anyways.
Yeah. Fair.
Also, a bit of a note on top of that. The quote of, there was nothing around here but rice fields, so there's no reason for people to be nearby. Like, call me ignorant, because I absolutely am. But, like, aren't rice fields owned by and tended by people? So, like, even if they aren't managed a whole lot, there's still precedent for people to be around them sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like they do. So, from what I know and my knowledge is basically from Studio Ghibli movies and Japanese animes. So bear with me on that. But from what I can tell, like people go into rice paddies and pick the rice. So, like there is precedence for people to be in those rice paddies in those rice fields.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe like it's not like maybe there could have been like some more elaboration like in the story that was like the certain time of day when that wouldn't be happening, but
yeah, so maybe that's what he was inferring. Yeah, possibly. And I'll move on from there. Just hang on a second.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So the next quote. Hey, that thing's still moving. What the hell is that? He said, surprised in his voice. So personally, I would, because it's a question he asked, I would end it with he asked instead of he said. Instead of he said, surprised in his voice, he asked, surprised in his voice.
Mhm.
Doubly so because in the same paragraph, the next time he says something, it also says, here's a quote, and then he said. So this gives it a little bit of variety in the same paragraph.
Yeah, fair.
My next one is, you're that scary, huh? Well, I'll decide that with my own 2 eyes. I picked up the fallen binoculars and went to look. My father suddenly came running towards me. Then jumps to the next paragraph. Before I could ask what's wrong, my father rushed towards me, blah, 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 which is kind of the same thing, first off. And also, I kind of suggest putting both of the father things in the same paragraph, because that's like a scene switch of like him contemplating and looking, then all of a sudden this new thing happens. So the whole new thing should be part of its own paragraph.
Yeah. Also, the way that you read that, now that I'm reading that again, I'm realizing that like that kind of sounds like he put up the binoculars and took a look, and it was actually his father now running at him ahead, like in front of him, like where the creature was.
Kind of, but no.
There should have been maybe a little bit of clarification that his father came running from the side, like
from the house,
like shouting or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because he picked up the fallen binoculars, but he didn't use them yet. He just had them in his hand.
Well, and he
equipped them into his inventory, but he didn't hold like L yet. He didn't hold LT to look through them.
Yeah, because it does say like, I picked up the fallen binoculars and went to look. So he was about to like put his eyes to it when his father showed up. So like, that should have been clarified a little bit more.
And my last one, going back to binoculars again. This is at the end. Then as we turned around the corner, I could no longer see him. I broke out into tears once more, not taking my eyes away from the binoculars. One day you'll come back, right? I thought. I looked over the green fields while remembering and missing my brother. Then, while I was thinking about my brother, I looked through the binoculars. So I thought you weren't taking your eyes away from the binoculars, so how could you start looking through them again?
It's like that thing where like the guy takes off his glasses and there's just glasses underneath them.
Yeah.
In reverse.
Unless taking his eyes off of the binoculars were like he had them in his hands and he was looking down at them. And then he looks up at the fields and then he looks through the binoculars again. That might be what it's meaning, but it doesn't clearly say that. So I assume he was looking through them the whole time, because he was just looking through them to look at his brother when he was waving goodbye.
Yep.
But it doesn't say that he stopped looking to look down at them and like contemplate or whatever.
No, like the impression I got was that he was like actually suddenly he started scanning the green fields while remembering his brother with the binoculars on, still going.
Yeah, so this line would be something like, then while I was then this line would be like, then while I was thinking about my brother, that's when it happened. I saw the thing up close that I never should see.
Yeah.
Just remove the I looked through again, doubling.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all I got for grammar in yellow.
All right. Well, I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. I'm going to start with the image that's provided. Now, I have seen a bunch, as I found out apparently after reading the story and looking up the Kunekune to see how, like, to see some more stuff about it. I have found a pretty fair amount of like photos of basically like a white waving scarecrow off in the distance of a field. And again, the photo that's provided is no exception. Although it's a little bit more like, I guess this is a little bit more enticing to like, what the fuck is that? And like, I need binoculars to find out what that is. kind of image.
Well, closer than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
No, from what I've seen, like that's actually a lot of the time is what like how far that that thing usually is.
Yeah.
It's like just far enough that like there's detail, but you can't make out fine detail. But it is just like in the photo itself that we're given on the Kowabana website, it is just sort of this like squiggly white line. It almost actually looks like actually now that I think about it, it almost looks like a stick man, like a white stick man, just like crouched over a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
Rather than a wriggling figure, which I have actually heard of, like urban legends and creepy stories, like real in quotes, creepy stories and encounters of people seeing stick figures coming at them. So
nice.
But yeah. And then my actual like first quote here to comment on is, this happened when I went to visit my grandmother's house as a child. We only went to visit my grandmother's house once a year during Oban. So as soon as we got there, I took off at full speed with my older brother to play outside. Okay, I'm starting to notice a theme or a trend in Japanese urban legends. I've been reading. Like, it always seems that the character goes to visit a relative in the country, and something happens that's linked to some ancient curse or something of the old ways begins haunting them almost immediately. And it's usually terminal, with very few exceptions, or like the character needs to like leave the country to escape the problem. It sort of makes sense because like modern Japanese culture and urban living has exploded in the last century. So there would be this sort of strained link to the old rural days and like the past resurfacing for those that do return to like those natural spaces of the country, and like or go to visit like places where their historical roots are. It's just like and I'm sure like that stuff happens in the West as well, but like it's just sort of like a trend I'm seeing of like somebody coming in from the city and then like going to visit an old like your grandparents in the country, and then some monster is like there that you've tampered with because you were ignorant of it or something. Also, fun fact: Oban is a late summer festival to honor the dead, usually one's ancestors. So there's that. Just something I learned when I was like looking this up and was like, oh, what's Oban? What holiday is that?
So it's fun to learn things.
Yeah. The next one I have here. The wind had stopped, and yet the white thing in the distance was still swaying. All right. I'll say the thing all of us are thinking, I think. It's a wacky waving inflatable tube man.
Yep.
I didn't think that, but it could be actually.
Like it's just like also like silliness aside, I do love the idea of like an eldritch monstrosity or some kind of like ancient supernatural being trying to lure people in with a disguise that is just so innocuously silly. At least from a distance. Like it's just slightly flamboyant enough out of the mundane that like you want to take a closer look, and that's where it gets you. But I will move on to the next thing I have. Then suddenly his face changed. Before my eyes, he started to turn blue and broke out into a cold sweat. Finally, he dropped the binoculars he was holding. Terrified of my brother's transformation, I asked him, What was it? Or what was it? He answered me very slowly. You're better off not knowing. It wasn't my brother's voice. Just like that, he turned and steadily returned to the house. I went to pick up the binoculars to look at what turned my brother's face instantly blue. But perhaps because of what he said, I couldn't find the courage to do it. You know, this kid's being awfully nonchalant about his brother turning like literally blue, and
I
having
don't know
a
if
different
it's literal
voice.
or not.
I know, yeah. I'm good. I'll get to that in a second. And having a different voice that is not his own, like clearly not his own. Like so, in the writing, it's like, it's sort of interspersed between like all caps and lowercase.
Yeah,
So,
which I
like, to
feel
kinda give,
makes
like,
it sound like it's kind of like warbly, you know,
oh,
if you know what I mean.
because it's like warbling, because it's like the wriggling man and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's like he's got the wah wah like filter on his thing,
Yes.
like this. You're better off not knowing. All right, future me, just to add in the wah wah sound through that for that clip.
Yeah,
Thanks.
just like that. Yeah, I totally heard that.
Totes.
That wasn't done in post at all.
No. Also, at first I thought it was like, so at first I was like, oh, he's like actually changing blue and stuff like that. But then I kind of remembered that, right, this is a translation. This is probably just like a description of somebody's like blood draining, or like them suddenly getting very like getting into like a cold sweat, or like they're changing in like sort of a more, not a metaphorical way, but like not a physical way, like entirely.
It's akin to saying that they turned white as a sheet. They didn't
Exactly,
actually turn like pure white.
Yeah. And again, that's something that, again, I had to keep. That's one of the reasons why I didn't have a lot for grammar, is because I had to keep in mind that this was a translation. So,
Yeah. Unless the kid literally did turn blue, but that would be weird considering the creature's white.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then we need a little bit more detail, like from somebody who knows, like the grandma or something like that, as to why he's turned blue. Baba dee baba da.
Turning blue, I feel like it would be because like he can't breathe, right?
Yeah, usually that's like that's you turn blue because like you're suffocating and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, again, like if you turn like white as a sheet, like then we it's because he's slowly becoming one of them, which kind of happens later, but
Yes, but also the term of turning white as a sheet might not be a like it might be an Americanized kind of term.
Yeah, it might be a Western
Yeah.
phrase, so yeah. Also, I like how J-horror and cosmic horror often have the similar moral of don't look at the scary thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't look too deep into something. You'll probably get possessed or go insane.
I'll hate it.
Yeah. I could see this actually. So on that whole thing of like, you know, Japanese horror and cosmic horror stuff, I could actually see this using this creature, or like some of the Kunekune like stuff, in a scenario where there's like an outbreak of behavior similar to the dancing sickness in rural villages in Europe. But like instead it's like these people that are just wriggling all around. Like they just like, and the players are investigating the situation, and then they encounter the entity, or they keep seeing something off in the distance that no one else seems to recognize. Because that's another thing that's in the actual urban legend, is even if there are people out in the field closer to the thing than like what you see, they don't seem to really like take note of it at all.
Oh, really?
But that's not
basically
mentioned in the
like
story.
Targeting the person.
Yeah, it's specifically like targeting people from afar, not as long as if you're up close to it, it can't hurt you and you can't even perceive it. But it's like, it's really nasty against far-sighted people.
Interesting. Is that actually like how it's supposed to be?
So at least according to the like description I saw on the Wikipedia page, because when I was looking up like what Kunekune means, I found out that it actually had a huge website, well, not huge, but it had a decent Wikipedia article on the urban legend. And yeah, in some cases, it's something that like even people that are up close to it like don't perceive it, or don't seem to perceive it.
Pokes some holes in my main note, but that's fine. I gotta say it anyways.
It's fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I like for a scenario, like yeah, they're investigating this village. It's like dealing with this like strange kind of behavioral pandemic or epidemic, and then they start seeing this thing far, like as they're doing their investigation. And then like if they ever get too close to it, like it vanishes. But if they look through like binoculars or something, or even through a camera lens, maybe like that's like you get like the Gorgon effect of its or its like basilisk effect of its spread vector.
So specific.
I know it's so but like that's like J horror in a nutshell. It's just so like oddly specific.
Like this creature decided that its attack vector is using like binoculars or like zoom lenses and stuff only.
Or maybe it's not even like that. Like maybe like it does target like a certain person like that's off in the distance, and so when they get closer to it, that's when you start rolling sand checks because only you're seeing it, and it's like you're entering like different fields of influence as you get closer to it. But if it appears, but only if it's targeting you specifically, not like it doesn't have like an area of effect kind of situation. Unfortunately, the story doesn't have a whole lot on it. It just sort of like appears, does its thing, and then the characters abandon all hope. Ye who enter, like they all just like they give up, like they give up their child to their grandmother because he's doomed. no reason why. Like he's doomed. Like leave him here. Although like he won't fit well in the cities, and then they just leave. So. And that's actually something I do want to touch upon in the next thing, I believe. We'll see. So my next quote is, "Then, when it was time for us to return home, my grandmother said, 'It would be better for everyone if you left him here. It'll be easier for him to live here. Your place is small, and if you think about your neighbors, you won't wait even a day, or even a few days before ... Leave him here. The best thing to do is to release him into the rice fields after a few years.'" And I was like, oh shit. The brother is going to eventually change into one of these things. I actually unironically love how creepy and silly that is at the same time.
Where's
like,
the silliness?
It's just sort of silly of just like how just like nonchalant they are about it. How this like a person will just turn into like a wacky waving inflatable tube man that will like
that's your own headcanon. That's
I know.
silly.
Or fine, he'll turn into this weird like white cloth thing that waves off in the distance. Like that's kind of silly, but also kind of creepy at the same time.
What was the deal with the neighbors and why he can't go there? I didn't understand that. I was gonna make a note about it, where it's like you can't go there because the neighbors, they won't, and anyways.
I think it's more. I think that might be like a social like kind of stigma thing. Where it's like it's because in Japanese culture, it's very like you don't want to like trouble your neighbors and stuff like that. Or
yeah, but
like,
what does this mean? Your place is so small that if you think about your neighbors, they won't wait even a few days before ellipses.
Maybe before calling somebody or like getting on you for like, oh, like your son's really weird kind of thing. I think that's my guess. Is like sort of like a social stigma situation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish there was no ellipses. I wish you finished that thought.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's where I'm going to get at in the next thing here, which is just sort of about like the explanation for this thing and how we don't have an explanation at all. No. But yeah, so again, we only know that this is called a Kunekune because of the title of the story, which in Japanese, so I think the direct translation for Kunekune in Japanese is to wiggle or to meander or to what's the other one? Or to twist. And then like the kind of like indirect translation of Kunekune as a creature is, like I said, the wriggling body. But that's never mentioned in the story. And I kind of wish that the grandmother had explained a little bit about it, and even name dropped it, like sort of how like in Hachishaku-sama and some other of them, like we got a little bit more. Thank you. We got a little bit more like answers as to like why this thing is happening, and like from like the grandparents and like or from the parents of why the character was being stalked by 8-foot tall lady. And in Kunekune, like
Lady Dimitrescu or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Lady Dimitrescu. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Hachishaku-sama and Dimitrescu would get along very well, I feel. But yeah, it feels like I wouldn't have minded a little bit more like exposition from the grandmother as to like what's going on.
She absolutely knows what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And I know also in some cultures it is sort of taboo to talk about the thing. Like it's very much like a elephant in the room. We don't talk about that shit because it draws us closer to it. So like maybe that's why the character isn't doing that in the story. Like it's that kind of behavior, but yeah, like and I'm not asking a lot because like I'm not like asking for a lot of exposition because like that's just how Japanese urban legends and creepypastas go. Barely an explanation and usually a fatal outcome. And like I said, happiest ending is that you have to leave the country and never come back. Because the thing that's stalking
that is horror
you
though.
Yeah, exactly. There's usually some weird rules as noted in this one, like he's got to stay here. I'll put him off to pasture later on. Yeah, so like that's the thing. It's just I wish like for this comment, I just wish that like the story had given us a little bit more about Kunekune, maybe even name dropped it in the story rather than just have us see the title and infer that is the creature. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Again, maybe like in other versions of the story, like online, like there are like name drops and stuff like that because we're just going off of one iteration of the story. Because this story's been around. This urban legend has been around since 2001, and apparently it is pretty popular from what I see online. Like when I was looking up the name. So maybe there are like versions of the story where like the grandmother does know a little bit more and actually shares that, but we don't get that in this version. And then my next thing here is actually my last comment or my last quote and comment. One day you'll come back, right? I thought. I looked out over the green fields while remembering and missing my brother. Then, while I was thinking about my brother, I looked through the binoculars. That was when it happened. I saw the thing up close that I knew I should never see. But then, who was Phone? If you see Kunekune up close, don't you become one and like can't like you're like compulsed to like sway and like can you do other things while you're swaying?
Well, no.
All right. Well, my comment on this is, what exactly did he see? Because he didn't see the white thing up close that he knew he should never see. He saw the thing up close that he knew he should never see.
What are you saying? It's some completely unrelated, different creepypasta happening?
It's another yokai out there, just like, hey, boy.
Well, my mind went to basically he saw his grandparents killing his brother.
Oh, actually, that would be such a, oh my god, that'd be such a dark turn. Like, don't worry, like old Yeller style. Fuck. Yeah. Also, yeah, so like this part here, like the ending bit, like it was on track for ending creepily and actually very nicely tragic. And then this ending sort of poked holes into it because like I thought like then how are you typing this up? Like how did you get this? How do we get to read this story if you've become
me?
Yes.
Why are you me all of a sudden?
Gamer is dead. Long live review cult, or long live the reviewer in yellow.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just like it, I just wish like we didn't get that part necessarily. Like maybe like if we had a part at the end where like he was panning by and he like didn't have the binoculars, but he saw the thing in the distance, and so he looked away, like because he knew like it was off in the distance, so he can't hurt him. Also, who left that? Like, so I'm assuming that this is like as they're driving away from the grandmother's place and stuff like that. So like, who let this kid still have the binoculars after what happened to his brother?
Mhm.
Bad parents. That's who.
Yeah, like the father even rushed out and like stopped him from looking through it. Like, why did that kid still have the binoculars after all of this?
He's still holding the smoking gun in his hand.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, that's all I've got for like my actual thoughts here. Is the it's like, but who's phone, and who gave who let this child keep the binoculars that can cause the situation with the brother? But yeah, Mikey, your actual thoughts.
Yeah. So to continue your thought about sort of why he still has the binoculars, my question is, why is there no rule about the grandparents' house? Like,
Yeah.
like they go there every year. Why are there not rules to not run off and with binoculars?
Yeah,
like,
how is this not like a how is this a new thing? Like,
yeah,
Bad parenting.
apparently.
They're
Well-
in the Derpland region of Japan.
Yes.
but like
Oh,
the thing is, the grandparents know what happened as soon as the brother is brought in, type thing.
Yep.
So they
Yeah.
know that there's this danger out there. Why is there no mention of rules that they're supposed to follow, at least at the beginning, and then saying like, we were kids, we just did our own thing. Like, even
Yeah.
that would have been better.
Also, I guess
I was gonna
like,
say, because if there were rules, there wouldn't be a story. But you're right; they're kids; they would just do it anyways.
yeah. Also, I guess it could be said that like the binoculars, like they brought the binoculars with them because like otherwise, like
Yeah.
why do these grandparents have binoculars in their home if this is a common
Well,
thing?
yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, they rush out as soon as they get there.
Yeah.
So that's where they didn't, like, they knew they were disobeying one of the rules.
Oh yeah.
But again, it'd be nice if we had the rules so that we knew they were disobeying them. But we just don't get that. So
Yeah.
and then my next actual thought here, I have a quote. I took in the refreshing breeze as my brother and I ran around the rice fields. So, as far as I know, this is quite literal, as in around the rice fields, because the rice fields are typically flooded with water.
You are mostly correct. I believe there are usually like not, I guess, trails or like kind of like raised areas in the fields that where like people can go into from. But yeah, it would be otherwise be like they're running around, like literally running around.
Mm-hmm.
They're kids. Why are they scared of getting dirty?
Well, it's also like kind of like they could like sometimes they flood them like quite like the water. It is quite deep, so.
Oh, I don't know how deep they are. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I figured that they were just like max knee deep.
Probably like like that kind of stuff, but like also like it's like very like sludgy and stuff, and that's why like a lot like usually have boots and stuff like that in them or what have you.
Unfortunately, my only exposure to that is from Rambo, the newer Rambo movie, the one that's just called Rambo, I think. One where he like gibs a guy with a machine gun. That one.
Yeah. Yes. If Rambo was in the situation, we'd have no problem because he'd just mow down anything in the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kunekune wouldn't stand a chance. I actually recently rewatched My Neighbor Totoro with the Niece Cultist. So, and they're right next. Like there's a lot of scenes where like they're right next to a rice field. So like you're seeing people out in the fields and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's into my actual thoughts.
All right. Gamer.
Okay. My only note is just sort of like a overarching note. We've talked about some aspects of it. But it's basically in regards to they get back, everyone's crying. Was this because of me? No, not me. When I look closer, I could see my brother laughing like a madman. He was moving about like that white thing swaying. Seeing my brother like that was scarier than whatever that white thing was. So, as we said before, the adults all know about this, and also shouldn't like when I first read this, I'm like, okay, so this thing has become one of them. So the whole family is possessed now, right? Because they're seeing it up close.
Well,
Because
no,
that is the attack vector it was using. Was you see it up close, you become one.
well, yeah, he hasn't changed fully yet. He's getting there.
It doesn't really say that though, because we
No.
don't know the difference. So
Yeah.
as far as I know, he's already fully turned,
True. Yeah.
which is wrong, I guess, but who knows? So yeah, I guess it takes a couple of days to turn, because that's sort of what the grandmother said, that like she'll put him out to pasture in a few days, more or less.
Well, in a few years, it sounded like. So it maybe takes a few years.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, like, what is happening when that happens? Do they just take him out in the middle of the field and just like tie him to a stake in the ground
Oh God.
and just leave him there?
Or do they just like take him out there and then just leave? Like let him go. You're free. Nobody wants you.
But he
Go.
doesn't.
Just go.
If he's
Yeah.
flailing around, like, does he have his motor functions, or is he like immobile now?
Yeah. Well,
He becomes the scarecrow.
yeah. He is now one of the scarecrows. Because again, we don't even know, like, even in the actual like the stuff I've found on the creature, like it just sort of it doesn't really move. It just kind of it just appears in the fields at a distance. So like maybe it has some kind of like teleportation ability or something.
So you just said it doesn't move.
No, but I mean like I mean like in terms of like how it appears and like disappears and stuff like that.
The sounds of it, the grandparents just carry it out there and put it there.
Yeah, no, I okay, yeah. I just meant like the actual.
I don't know.
Yeah, I meant the actual Kunekune, like when it, like how
Isn't that
people
what
like
this is?
spot it. Yes. I just meant I just meant like so when it's out there, when Kunekune appears, like how does it doesn't seem like it moves or anything, it just appears. So similarly, like they drop the kid off there and then like they drive away and as they look back, maybe it's gone. And it's just like it just vanishes or it just teleports somewhere. To go stalking to somebody else. That's somebody basically they're leaving it to somebody else's problem. Is what they're doing with this Kunekune.
I guess, which seems really irresponsible, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you're like this threat has emerged because of them, and they're theoretically just leaving it out there in line of sight of anyone else to be able to be infected by it as well.
It makes me wonder if like maybe it's only like dangerous if you're like viewing it like through like a magnification. Like if you're looking at it naturally, it's fine. If you're up close to it, it's fine. But as soon as you're like at a distance and look at it through like some kind of magnifying like lens, that's when it gets you. That's when it turns you, and that's why like you just don't do that.
I guess, but if that's the case, as we talked about before, the grandparents and the father too, it sounds like everybody knows about this, but no one warns anyone about this.
No,
I know you said the elephant in the room situation, but when it's whether or not your kids will survive or not, I feel like you should warn them.
Yeah, and again, like there's sort of a plot hole. Is like why did they have binoculars in that home at that house?
Yeah, but either way, the whole concept I find like creepy, like the creature, whatever the hell it is. But like, I don't know. If this like infection or spirit or whatever it is grabs people like this, and it could do it so easily based on just seeing enough detail, like it's just endangering people. And like you're putting in the middle. Okay, because I don't really know specifics at the time of reading of how it works. When I see this creature in the middle of a field that possesses people when you see them close enough, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so when you go to harvest your rice, everyone dies.
Suddenly there's like so like people go in the morning, then like somebody who's like walking by, like going to their work like elsewhere, like they see like these people going to the patties and they see that one like figure off in the distance, like that one scarecrow off in the distance. And then when he's coming home that night, he looks out the rice fields like, why are there so many scarecrows out there? Suddenly there's
Why
just,
isn't
like
the rice harvested? We need to hire more people.
why is there like 5 more scarecrows out there?
Yeah.
That is kind of like it's like silly and creepy at the same time.
Yeah. It just
yeah.
My whole problem with the way that they deal with this is just how irresponsible they are with it. Because, like, for example, if its whole thing is line of sight, whether it's through a magnifying glass or not, put a fucking bag on its head. It can't move. Tie a bag around its head so it can't infect people anymore. Then it's just a wacky waving scarecrow out there.
Inflatable tube monster.
Yeah, but it's not going to hurt anyone anymore. Unless someone is stupid enough to go up close and take the bag off. Then it's their fault.
Yeah. There's signs around the rice paddies when there's one of them in there. You're just supposed to like eyes to the ground the whole time.
But that would be cool if that was there, but there's nothing, which is what's so weird about this. Like, and we have to have a story, so like it has to happen, but as we brought up before, they're idiot kids, they're going to do it regardless, but just having competent adults that want to ensure the safety of their family would go a long way in this story.
Okay, so I am reading a little bit more on the description of the from the wiki. So yeah, it does vary. Like there's definitely variations of it. Like, and again, like I had us read the one on Kowabana because that was like a prominent one, and hey, it's Kowabana. I love that website.
Yep.
So this one doesn't give us a whole lot of information. It's really just like a kid's encounter with this thing. And so they're not getting all the details. There are some instances of this in the story, in the variations of the story, where like if you go up close to it, you go insane. In some versions, if someone touches it or simply comes to or gets like within proximity, the Kunekune will just kill them. And then even looking at it from a distance for too long, or like through binoculars, will cause this like transformation. So because this started as like a single short story that was posted on 2chan in like the 2000s. And people have like took it and like made it a big thing. Like there's different variations of it. It sort of went hog wild like Slender Man.
I was gonna say it's like Slender Man. There's so many versions.
Yeah, exactly. There's different like takes on it and such. So
yeah, either way, the more I learned about this creature, just like through reading the story, the more I wanted to learn more because like the whole like need to know more intensifies with like this Starship Trooper guy vibrating with me. Yeah, because like. So in a year or so, grandmother's gonna put him out there and leave him out there to infect and kill other people. But like when that happens, like, do they need to go out and feed them still? Or like I'm really curious about what happens to the bodies of the victims. Like, is it literally someone that they have to keep alive, or are they just putting them out there until they starve? I don't know.
Yeah, or does the body just like become wood and cloth? Like, does it just become this like weird supernatural scarecrow thing?
Because we don't get a good view of it. For all we know, it is actually made out of mundane scarecrow material, but it's alive.
Yeah, it's like an SCP or one of the objects of power in the game Control, where like it's just a regular item that has like a supernatural ability. Yeah. Again, this I think the brass tacks here is that the story itself that we read and that we're given here doesn't give us a lot. It just sort of like it's sort of an out of context, like it just happens and then we're done.
Yes.
But we all, I think collectively we wanted more because we wanted to know more.
Indeed. That's about it for my notes.
Okay. Then I suppose we'll move on to final thoughts. So like I said, I'm going to partially recommend it. I find it interesting that this is as popular as an urban legend and creepypasta as it is, because like again, just Google Kunekune, and you find like a bunch of stuff about it and like images of it and stuff like that. Because there's not a lot here in this story. As I dig a little bit deeper, I found that like there are different variations that are a little bit more in depth. But it's just interesting that like the Kowabana version is a little bit more skin and bones or sticks and cloth.
Nice.
And it's just a strangely it's just such a strangely simple spooky encounter concept with a rural setting, which, don't get me wrong, works. Like you can do that. And I can see the potential here for expanding it and like using it as fodder for like a game scenario or even other stories, as other people apparently did with the original short story. They like they took that story, wrote their own like encounters and stuff like that. Heck, for a while, apparently, like during the early 2000s, the Kunekune had popped up on like in publications and magazines for the occult in Japan. And so like where they thought there were actual like encounters with this thing. But it has also like it's been mostly like refuted that it is a fictional story. So I thought that was very interesting, like how that popularity kicked in. Again, it's kind of like the Slender Man, like lightning struck on this thing. So yeah, that's why I'm willing to give it half marks. Is just like the interesting idea of this like silly yet spooky concept and like the potential it has. So I just wish the story we had read had a little bit more behind it. So yeah, that's why I'm going to partially recommend. Mikey, D stands for evil.
As stated, like one of the main issues I have is where are the parents and their rules. Even if the kids disobey them, we should at least have some form of them saying, hey, don't run off, or hey, don't go too far into the fields, or something.
Don't go into the long grass.
Yeah. And then I had the issue with the ending that Review Cultist did, which was if he saw the monster up close, which is what you're not supposed to do, then how are we getting the story?
Yeah.
Like,
suddenly he's just in the
one
back
that wasn't
car.
bothered with that.
I just picturing like as soon as he looked at it, like first off, like how is he able to like write the story like years later? Because this is like him as an adult talking about his childhood event. And when like it seems like suddenly he's just like looking out the field with the binoculars, and then his parents look back in the back seat of the car, and he's just like laughing and like waving around. It's like, oh no, another one, not another one.
Yeah. So it's just that those two things just ruin this for me. Like because like the lack of parental guidance for me makes this less believable. And then that ending, it really didn't need to be there, as Rude just pointed out.
I actually just realized something about the ending. I think the last bit of like one day you'll come back, right? I thought, and then like he's looking over at green fields and remembering while remembering and missing his brother. I wonder if that was supposed to be like a time skip to when he's an adult again, like where this is actually in the present, and he's traveling out in those country roads, but like there's nothing there otherwise that like would really insinuate that, aside from just like a subtle inference that like because of like but like I feel like maybe that's what the ending was trying to get at, is that it's like it's him now in the present as an adult, like remembering this after he's told the story, and then looking out at the fields and sees something and lifts up some binoculars he has, and that's when he sees it. But like if you scrap that bit, it's a good story, like it's a complete story, like without the holes. But Yeah, that just clicked for me. I'm sorry for like butting in on that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm still not going to recommend it.
all right, fair. Gamer.
Me, when I first read this, I wasn't aware that it was like a popular urban legend that like multiple people have written stories about. I took this at face value as this writer created this creature for this one story. And if that was the case, I would fully recommend this story because it's an interesting creature that has like a really very quick lethal attack vector and all that. While the parenting and all that is questionable, the creature itself and the story itself has enough merit that I would recommend it. That being said, after learning more about this through you guys, that it's a Kunekune story, not the Kunekune story, I'll give it a partial because I do feel it does need those changes. And I'm assuming there are other ones out there that I may like more. I'm sure there's other ones out there that I will like less. But the story's still passable, and with a change here or there in regards to like the ending and the parenting, like we said, it would be a full recommendation again. But yeah, I'll go partial on this one for now.
Cool. Well, then I guess that's 2 partial recommendations and 1 non-recommendation. Got potential, but this version just doesn't quite strike home. And that'll do it for this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Some of us are on Blue Sky. Mikey is at the E Stands for Evil, and I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Or you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, without the stories that you write and post online and translate from other languages so that other people can appreciate it, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Now's probably a good time to also mention that we are part of a podcast network, Crit in the Night, an actual play and creepypasta podcast network. We're there alongside our sister podcast, One Less Die, and our cousin podcast, The Role Playing Exchange, for things that go crit in the night. Until next time, I've been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E Stands for Evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.